Hello everybody, my name is Greg, some of you all know me by Speed Freak, and welcome to a special episode by Shogun Auto House where I review this 5 Series M Sport where business meets pleasure. Let's go right ahead and see how it's like on the more upmarket version of the car. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, the 5 Series, as we know, it has been in production since 1972, which means it's currently entering its 50th year. Yep, that's a very long time. And the model that we are reviewing today is the 2014 version in the M guise. Now, as you know, the 5 Series has come with many different variants, including the more sportier, fun M version. Now, back then when it was purchased, the selling price would have been somewhere around the range of the late 300s to perhaps about 400-ish. And today, we're going to take a look and see what actually brings out that value in the car, why it's priced to that range, and what's so special about it. Let's go and take a look, shall we? Okay, so starting with the front, we're going to start with the most notable feature of the car, which is the grille itself, specifically the kidney grills. Now, as you can see on this model, the kidney grills are a little bit on the larger side, but compared to the models of the current years, those grills have actually grown exponentially. Now, the main feature is not actually on the grills itself, but the lights themselves, which is what we're going to take a look at next. All right, now we're going to take a closer look at BMW's headlamps themselves. These designs are known as angel eyes, and they have been in BMW cars for a good 20, maybe 25 years. And of course, they have been enhanced as time went by. Now, what's so special about these lights, apart from the DRLs being integrated within the headlamps, is the fact that they are with bi-xenon headlamps, and they have a special feature that's called the BMW Adaptive LEDs. Now, what this does is, picture yourself driving on the road and, taking a corner. Now, conventional headlamps would just focus on straight. Not these babies. They actually go with the position of the car. So if you are taking a left corner, the light also shifts towards the left and vice versa towards the right. Now, another key feature that comes with this is an anti-dazzle headlamp. Now, what this does is, imagine driving on a poorly lit road and you hit on that feature. It basically turns your headlamps into automatic high beams. Now, should a vehicle come from the opposite direction, what will happen is that the lights will still remain on high beam, but they will be tilted to the side to an opposite direction where it does not blind the opposite driver. That's actually a pretty neat feature. Now, of course, these lamps are not cheap. They are very functional, but it is a function that would be greatly desired with a lot of cars these days. Personally, if you were to ask me, I would love to have a feature like this on my car. Alright, so aside from these lights, the car also comes standard with fog lamps, one pair of them, one on each side, and there's also an extension of the grille at the bottom, so it kind of gives up a bit of a smiley look to it. Now, unfortunately, it does not come standard with lower lips, but the design of the bumper itself is been on a little bit more on the aggressive side, which I actually find quite appealing. Alright, now moving on to the rims and wheels, BMW has graciously provided this car with 18-inch twin 5-spoke rims that are wrapped with Bridgestone run-flat tires. Now, another feature that's been added is the male and female tire sizes. Now, what this means is they provided the front set of tires rims with size 245/45 rim 18, whereas when it comes to the back, they were provided with size tires 255/45 rim 18. So the back is a little bit wider, seeing that the car is a rear-wheel driven car. Now, moving on to the brakes themselves, the safety feature, the tires are all equipped with solid disc brakes, all 4 of them. And mind you, these disc brakes are huge. So braking is obviously not an issue with this car. Now, to enhance the braking experience, BMW has also added brake assist, which actually goes a long way with assisting in the braking of the car itself. All right, so now that we have gone through the features and the beauty of the front of the car, let's shift our angle towards the side of the car instead. Now, the one feature that I do like about this BMW is actually with the door themselves. Of course, keyless entry comes standard with these Beamers, no questions on that. But what I really like is that at night, imagine walking to your car at night, it's poorly lit, poorly dimmed. When you unlock this door, right, it doesn't simply unlock the door, it actually goes one step beyond. It illuminates the door handles themselves. So if you've got trouble looking for the car, hey, a little bit of light goes a long way. That's on the doors. Now, of course, as you notice, it does come with side skirts to give it the more lower stance appearance. Looks great, but just be careful when driving because that actually keeps the car a little bit too low to the ground at times. Now, what I also like involves the side view mirror. These do appear standard, but rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, standard they are not. Now, LED comes with this, the LED turn signal. It comes attached as standard, but what really makes this shine out of the competitors is that it has not only blind spot warning, it has another feature which is curb assist. Basically what happens when you are reversing the car, adjusting it into a parking spot, the wing mirrors themselves will automatically tilt towards the bottom, towards the road, so that you get maximum visibility. And that is a very neat feature. It's the kind of safety feature I would personally want in a car that I drive, which unfortunately not all cars come with. All right, so clearly guys, as you can see, I am very comfortable sitting on the back over here. Space and height is not a concern. As you can see, there's 520 liters worth of boot space. Of course, I could slide myself in, but for the viewing pleasure of everyone, I think I shall not. Based on what we see, if you've got any travel plans or if you've got, the weekly grocery run to go for, space is clearly not a concern. As with BMW, a lot of things are limitless and in excess. This is one thing I love to have in excess: boot space. Now, of course, the boot itself is rather heavy. It does not come with an automatic release of its own. Of course, closing it and opening it is pretty easy. I love the fact that the boot opens all the way rather than just a partial release. Right, now for the rear lights, as you can see, BMW has continued on its tradition of its distinguishable BMW design lights, and these are no different. These comes with LED combination lamps. They look fantastic. It also comes with a follow me home feature, just like the front. Basically, in a place where you're going to either start the car up or leave your car, when you unlock the door, these lights will illuminate for at least 15 seconds to give you that access inside, to let you see the car as you are going in. As for the bumper, so sorry guys, there's no diffuser kits added to this car. But then again, it doesn't really need a diffuser kit if you think about it, because from where I'm seeing things, it's actually pretty low as it is. So if you add a diffuser, you've got a very higher chance of actually scraping the ground. And let's face it, we don't want that now, do we? All right, so now that we have seen what the car looks like on the outside, let's go a little bit deeper and see what's powering it from within. In essence, the engine. Now, for this car, BMW has provided it with a double overhead cam 4-pot turbo engine. Now, this engine is a 2000cc engine. It's only 2 liters and it produces 241 horsepower and an astounding 350 Newton meters of torque. So clearly, power is not a concern at all. And believe me, this car delivers when it comes to that. Now, what I feel about the engine, personally, as a first impression, the engine is kind of huge, guys. It really is big. It's got a beauty cover to cover the top of it, but you can clearly see there's a lot of components attached to the engine, and it's a little bit compact. I feel like it's a little bit congested, the engine bay. Not very much working room, but what I do like about this bay is that it's maybe well arranged, and I love these 2 features. These are the actual stabilizer bars, and believe me, they do help. Now, of course, another key feature that I like about the engine bay is hydraulic arms. Take a look. I don't actually have to lift a finger. I just prop the hood up on my own. It comes up. When I want it down, I just slam it down. Makes it nice and easy. All right, guys, we are now on the inside of the BMW. Let's go ahead and see what makes this car a true driver-centric vehicle. Now, BMW takes pride in, saying that their cars are meant for drivers, and quite clearly, once you are seated in the driver's seat, it's no surprise. Let me go ahead and tell you why. Now, this is basically the front dashboard. The meters themselves on the dashboard is fully digitalized, and it's all multi-information, LEDs. it looks fantastic. I'm going to touch off with the steering wheel itself. Now, in terms of the steering wheel control, you know some cars, they have got this tilt feature where you can adjust the height of the steering wheel. This one does too, but with a twist. This one is electronical. Now, there's one special features with these two stalks over here. That is, there's a little button on the sides, on either sides. So, the button on the left, if you were to press on that button, it basically activates what we call as the anti-dazzle feature that we spoke about earlier on the front. So if you want this on, you just gotta leave that on. If you don't want it, just turn it off. It's off. Now on the right side, on the wiper stalk, if you were to press that on, notice the wiper just went on its own. Yeah, that wasn't me, that was just me pressing the button. So what happens with this is the wipers actually detect water and they will automatically wipe when it feels that there's enough to wipe. But if you don't want this, just turn this off, go manual, right? Apart from that, there's also the, how would you say, the pedal shifters right here. I love these babies. So if anytime you feel like you want to drive, have a sense of a manual driving car, this is it. It's an 8-speed automatic, so you can go up, down, all the way 1 till 8. And moving apart from that, one lovely feature I absolutely adore in this car, and I feel that all cars should actually have, is the heads-up display unit. Now basically what this does is that it takes your eyes away from the meter and allows you to just focus what's in front of you on the road. You get to see the speed, you even get to go as far as answer calls. As you see, if I press on this, I can actually go ahead and view all the people that I've called in the past. Alright, moving away from the steering wheel and the driver's perspective, let's move our attention to the center of the cockpit. Now, the first thing that we're going to notice here is that the air conditioning climate system, right? It's a dual climate. They call it a his and her system. Now, what this means exactly is that as a driver, I'm able to control this half of the air conditioning system, the vents, the speed of the air conditioning, the coolness of the system. I get to control it. But at the same time, I don't control everything. That's why we have a her system, which basically means the passenger gets to control their side of the climate. Now, moving up a little bit from the climate, we're going to now take a look at the infotainment system. Now, BMW has this really neat feature. It's called the BMW iDrive. That is part of their integrated infotainment system. And of course, moving down a little bit, this is where the gear knob is. It's not exactly a conventional gear knob. In terms of utilizing it, there's this little button on the side. This allows you to move it back and forth. Great feature. Now, on top of that, you've got the iDrive controls over here, the knob, very easy to use. And just below the gear knob, this is where you have your emergency brake, also known as your parking brake. No manual brakes on this one, guys. All right, now moving on to the sound system that we were touching on a little bit earlier. This car really is good when it comes down to that. Now with BMW on this 5 Series, it comes with a 10 speaker setup by Harman Kardon, and on top of that, they've also got a sound system below the seat. Oh, I've got to tell you guys, that sound system is banging. All right, so compared to our previous videos, this one is going to be a little bit different when it comes to the rear legroom, because we are also going to touch on the little bit of features that's been added to the back section of the car. Now, I am going to start off with the rear legroom and the headroom. Headroom wise, as you can see, not really a concern. I easily have a good 3.5 to 4 inches worth of space. So clearly, despite the sweeping roof personality, I like the fact that headroom is not compromised. That's great. However, when it comes to legroom, despite the seats already having a cut in the middle to accommodate the knee room and improve on that, it's still not quite as comfortable. Sense being is, I only have about a couple of inches worth of legroom, and that's with the front passenger being maybe not more than 170 centimeters tall. And furthermore, there is not much thigh support over here, so sitting in this crunched up position on a long run might actually cause some muscle soreness. For me, it already is causing a little bit of discomfort. But moving aside from that, I do want to mention that this car on the rear section is best for 2 occupants rather than 3, simply because the center well juts up really high. It would make any occupant sitting in the middle have a very uncomfortable journey. However, in place of that, there is actually rear climate control, which involves having 4 separate aircon vents towards the back passenger. There is one on each corner here and another 2 over here that points straight out. And the best thing is, just like the front, there's actually dual climate systems. Of course, in terms of the fan speed, there is no separate fan speeds. The rear passengers will have to make do with the same speed for all. All right, quite clearly guys, this is a driver-centric car. And as you can see, I am in the driver's seat. Position-wise, I couldn't have asked for better room. I have more than enough room. My knees do not rest anywhere. They are independent, rested on the pedals themselves. I've got a footwell on the left to rest my left leg. And as I mentioned earlier, the steering wheel is adjustable to exactly as how I want it to be. Headroom wise, I've got a little bit more headroom here compared to the back. I've got about 4.5 inches worth of space. Legroom is clearly not an issue either. Alright, so now we are driving the 5 Series on the road. Now I'm going to start with the first impression involving comfort. I must say comfort is definitely a plus point on this car. BMW has not hesitated on focusing on comfort. There's no different with this car. Now despite the age of the car, it is absolutely comfortable to drive. It's also very quiet, meaning I can have a smooth, pleasant journey without having to worry about any external noises, or very minimal as a matter of fact. And in terms of the seat comfort themselves, one of the best, to be honest, because here I have a semi-bucket seat that actually fits me well. Okay, so now we're actually going to get to the funnest part of the Beamer, which is going to be the actual ride and handling as well as the acceleration involved. Now, as we know, BMW has always prided itself with their tagline, the ultimate driving machine. And quite frankly, after driving this car, I can actually see why. It really is the ultimate driving machine, guys. Now, one thing I gotta love about the acceleration, right, is that it does change according to the driving mode that you select, either in regular eco mode or comfort mode or even sports mode. Now, in any of these modes, you feel the acceleration for sure. There is more than enough grunt to take the car from 0 to 100 without issues at all. Very assuring, very fun, most importantly. And in terms of the handling, the car handles superbly well. Be it corners, be it straight roads, you name it, the car handles beautifully. Now, this being a rear-wheel drive car and also having all the important safety features attached to it, it actually aids with the handling, and it's able to take on the challenges and the demands that comes with the handling. A very driver-centric vehicle. Now, when it comes to general maneuverability, right, in terms of driving the car in any setting, be it urban or extra urban, whichever setting it is, this car may be big, but it's not difficult to handle or move about in tight corners. All right, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of yet another journey, this time with the Beamer. And of course, it's time for our conclusion, and most certainly our recommendation. Now, in terms of the general car itself, in conclusion, what I would say is it's a great car to drive in. It provides really good comfort, it handles exceptionally well, and it also, you've got to agree guys, it also boosts up your feel-good sensation from within. I know I did. But with that being said, I think it is also important that I highlight that, as with any Continental car, because parts are a little bit more expensive, the car itself is a little bit different from our regular local and Japanese cars, we do need to take into consideration of the upkeeping costs involved with these cars. Granted, during the first few years of ownership, the service centers will step in and ensure the process remains smooth, but we need to think of the longer run, what happens beyond the service intervals after the warranty period has expired. And as we know guys, cars like these do come with a lot of electronics. These are creature comforts, and these electronics are what makes the car stand out. But we must remember, electronics are electronics. They can and will break down, and getting these breakdowns resolved will cost you good money. So if you're someone looking for comfort, if you're looking for style and looking to stand out, this is the car for you to get. This would be the range of car I would recommend to get. But go forth knowing what you're going into. As the old Malay proverb says, tepuk dada, tanya selera. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would personally rate this car a solid A-. Nearly perfect, but with due consideration involving the upkeeping of the car, and also with a little bit of space concerns on the rear sections of it. But apart from that, as I said, if you want to give this car a good tryout, you want to go, take it on a short lease or purchase it for a few short years, these would be the kind of cars you can go for. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Greg, and I'll see you in the next special episode. In the meantime, I'm out of here.